Hello guys, welcome to the channel. This is Baby Rule. In today's video I'll be talking about the best, or at least one of the best builds you can play for Labyrinth farm in the Halloween. And it is Ranger Untamed, and I also will be sharing the same version for both Druid, Soulbeast, like if you want to play other things, or if you don't have Untamed for example, or whatever, how you can play it. But you're gonna have to use the staff. So if you can't unlock the staff for other elite specializations, then go for the Druid form. Now, you know, with this kind of farm, now people will be moving every road, killing everything they find in their way, and opening every door, even the bosses. This is a normal behavior now. No one play without bosses, or at least I haven't seen it for now. And I don't like it in myself. They give a lot of profit and they are quite good to actually kill, if you especially can kill them fast. With that in mind, there is multiple forms of how people go about this. So like there is a Warcrow form that some people considering right now, but it is quite silly because some mobs will be standing like next to a wall close to that, so you can just keep using it. It's just a gimmick. And Herald one, when you just keep bumping boons around you, don't hit anything. Some people hate it, some people like it, because you can't contribute anything, so there is not much damage, especially for killing bosses. If you have many of them, it's become a problem. But if you don't open the boss doors, they are quite good in a very organized group, when you can have most of players are heralds and few having some serious damage that organized well in the group, like every section from it in the squad, so it become quite decent. It's one of the few areas in the game when it actually can work. Well, however, this is one of the best builds because unlike something like Power Mirage or things like that, when you have to either lose some of your gear to allow other people to do their damage, or you simply keep killing too fast and the people in the back who can't really play this well or don't move this fast or have non-optimal builds don't even hit anything. So it consider other player and also helping them have enough time to do the damage. Staff on Ranger have very low damage on its auto attack, the beam, which is the main thing that we'll be using, even if you play honestly for power. And since we will be playing only Celestial, then the damage is even lower, so the people will always have enough time to apply the damage. So given a big group, if many player or enough player playing a build like that, everyone or most people will at least have enough time to almost hit everything, getting participation to it and getting the loot from it. So without further ado, let's go about the build and explain why it's designed this way and everything in it. So the Untamed version will be using double staff. Like there's other versions that won't, but we will get to them after we discussing this one. This is the main one. So I'm using double staff on it, and I'm going with traps, healing trap, poison trap, and flame trap, with quickening zephyr, and the elite skill is force fortification. When you're running around enemies in the entire lab, you stick to Jacaranda, and in front of door you can swipe bits, and most of the time you will find yourself going with the Juvenile Sky Chuck Striker. Now the traits are normal condition behavior trait, but with minor changes. So we go with skirmishing, we go with trapper expertise, we go with spotter, and quick draw. This trait line will give us the swiftness, and we really need it. We use celestial gear, so we get a lot of point duration. So every time we swipe staff, and we can swipe them almost off cooldown if you want, or wait a little bit, it doesn't really matter. So we'll have permanent swiftness that without even anyone giving us swiftness. And we also will have permanent fury, and we already give fury, so we'll be helping other players also. Maybe you'll get a little bit of participation since we're gonna be granting a lot of boons from different even sources. And we have quick draw, so in case you're still in a combat and you ended up falling behind or anything, you can even use double Ancestor Grace immediately. You can cleanse yourself from immobilize even sometimes, because a lot of immobilize that happen, especially around this area, a lot of mobs actually give immobilize. So it's quite nice. Since we also want to reduce our damage, so there was no need to go with something like Vicious Quarry, but in smaller group maybe you can, like it's up to you. But obviously we're not focusing on damage at all, we only want to keep taking multiple mobs all the time. And we go with Wellness Survival, so we have extra Endurance Regeneration, healing from protection and stuff, but it's not really necessary, it's not like there is anything that hurt you honestly in this map. And we go with Child of Earth, Empathic Bond, and Wellness Knowledge. Since there is a lot of immobilize and conditions that get applied to you, you want to have huge amount of cleanse, so immediately you cleanse, you don't fall behind. You want to be the first one in your squad, you want to lead in it. Like, even if there is a commander and you're not the one who's leading, you want to be like next to him or even in front of him, because you will never steal a kill from people, your damage is very low, so why not be in the beginning or the first one to hit anyway, since people will keep hitting them after you. So it's really huge part of this build that you want to be in the front. And that's why you will be getting damaged a lot from those mobs, you will be eating some of the immobilized, that's why we need the condition cleanse. And that's why we also move in Jacaranda while using Jacaranda, not the Chuck, because Jacaranda have much more toughness than us, so a lot of the time many mobs will actually be attacking here instead of you. And that's why also we have a lot of resistance from this skill, so we can ignore even the immobilized sometimes. Now, with Untamed itself, we go with a blinding outburst, so the blind can hop around and it do some good damage anyway. And we go with cleansing unleash, so now another source of very strong cleanse that we can simply enter or exit the unleash state to simply cleanse more conditions. And we go with let loose, and that's why we're running 2 staffs on Untamed, because the unleash skill for Untamed is this one. It gives you a field that you can walk with that will damage, heal and give protection and blind. So this idea will help you really cleave multiple mobs around you, especially in front of doors. And since you have let loose, every time you weapon swap, you will get immediately access to the other one. So even without leaving the unleash state, you can simply switch the weapon if you're inside combat, and you can use it again and keep moving to hit multiple enemies. And that's why also we use traps, because traps will go through the block that some mobs from some doors actually have it, and you will start damaging them, and they are conditioned, so they will allow some huge time in other allies to actually use them, and you can simply cleave with them all the enemies through bolting. And also we choose the bits for the same reason, like Jacaranda with Cold Lightning will hit an area with everything in it, and if you switch to the Chuck, it's also cleave with almost everything that he hit with, it's all field, all do some serious damage as you can see. And even this one can cleave multiple targets with laser beam stuff. So even our bits push into the same concept. And also our equipment and everything help with the same design. So we use Fall Celestial, and this way we can have some healing to help allies, we can have a very huge boon duration to increase swiftness, the stability and the resistance uptime in order to survive the immobilize and everything that we can eat from that. And we do some decent damage, so we're not completely zero, and when you fight against a boss you still have some good condition and power damage in a way. So we go with Fall Celestial. My infusion is healing just because I was using this template for a world versus world something, but obviously you don't need to put healing, but boon duration, but condition damage, something like that is better. Even bar damage, but try not to increase the bar damage in general. So maybe you can put condition damage or more even boon duration. And if you don't have them, there's no point in them. You can go with exotic. This build have no care for DPS or anything, like don't really pay attention this much. It's just Celestial because it's the most optimal. You don't even have to put this, it can be condition, it can be anything. However, I want the boon duration, so put anything that have boon duration would be actually better. You can go Diviner, anything. And I also use the rune of Traveler because it gives us more boon duration and it gives us also movement speed. So if you notice, the only way we can get swiftness, even permanent swiftness, is weapon swap inside combat. So if we are outside of combat, we can still get it from our mount, we can move fast with the mount, anything. But what if you're just trying to cut a short distance, or you're already moving in some area and you just didn't want to ride the mount, you want to engage soon, whatever happened, you want to have the movement speed. So why not have it already on the runes? And my weapons are, I didn't have a celestial ascended staff, I only have one legendary obviously, so I used, like I said, any staff, it doesn't matter. And I use the fire sigil because it will give an explosion in area of 240 radius, so it can help the staff even cleave more while in front of doors or while running in an area while seeing a few mobs that grouped up, so it will trigger every 5 seconds. In both staffs I have it. And the other sigil is optional. You can use Geomancy, you can use Hydromancy as I put here. it doesn't really matter. So every time you switch weapon, you will cleave around you if you're standing like in front of door or grouped up mobs again. And you can also go with cleansing for even more avoidance to the immobilize by simply swapping weapons to even cleanse more. You already have a lot of cleave in this build, so it really doesn't matter if you use the sigil. So I would go with cleansing, but like I said, it didn't matter. I never found myself needing more cleanse, but also, or even more, I didn't find myself need more cleave. So I would go probably with a cleansing actually after testing this build. My trinkets are all celestial, the same thing, and I go with Relic of Speed. This is a must. A lot of players actually count a lot on super speed. There is a lot of mesmers playing, stuff like that. And the Relic of Speed will give you the fastest form of movement constantly. You have permanent swiftness, and this relic will increase the efficiency of it by 66% of your movement speed. There is nothing will make you move faster. And I even did a comparison with stacking different relics like the Wayfinder, stuff like that, and there is not much change. The Relic of Speed is the fastest form of movement. Now, how the build work in general? Like I said, on the Untamed version, we simply use the staff to cleave our enemies, like that. And as you can see, everything got hit because of the sigil. And once I use this one, I can cleave everything by simply walking in them. And then I move to another staff and I can do the same thing again. It is so easy to cleave in front of doors. And the auto attack actually work on a queue. So I will press it and I will press tab and I press it again, and it will always move. Even if I am on the third one, it will move to the one before it first. So let's see an example of this queue idea. So let's give ourselves a quickness as we move normally. And as you can see, I keep cleaving everything, and it can queue every time, and you can keep hitting. And even in the line, if you hit something like that, it will hit everything in the entire line. And you can simply move around like that if there is a lot of mobs. And not only that, your bit also is part of it, because it has this bubble that will damage everything inside of it. You can teleport it to other enemies using the other skills, the Venom's Outburst, which make it very easy to cleave and move between target to another, to another, to another. So this is how you easily cleave the mobs in general. In front of a door, you simply use the staff and then wait a bit near its close and use the other. You can also cleave with traps. They will cleave for targets, and your bit itself will cleave with those skills, because this field will be hitting everything. And also it can cleave with its own skills like that. And like I said, the chuck is even more crazy, because it will hit multiple targets with almost every skill that it has. So it is this simple. There is not much thought, or more thought actually goes into it. This is the build, and I was able to actually get between, like, minimum while testing 600 bags to even close to 1,000 if you're really organized. Like, I was in a squad testing this from like 14 people or something like that. It was very small, not really this organized, and I was able to get 765 or 63 bag in only 1 hour. Even so, we were in this fast and the bosses take too much. It worked really well, but like I said, you almost have to hit every target you need to be in the front with a build like that. So what's the downside for a build like that? That's why we'll be talking about other options. Is you still using double staff, which is a very low damage. So against bosses, it's not great. You still have some condition damage, the traps, your bit, everything, but the damage is quite low, even with full gear like that. And that takes us to more superior version with actually Druid. So this is the one I also used to play in a way. So this one use one staff and use short bow. You stick to staff and you keep using it, moving from mob to another. You never switch weapon or anything. You count mostly on either the swiftness from other people or weapon swap by simply entering Celestial Avatar in combat and leaving again. So you never really need to switch weapon to short bow while running across the lab. The moment you stand in front of a door or fighting a boss, you start using your short bow and the other skills easily. The advantage of Druid that it actually gives you almost damage and hit collectively on every little thing you do. Entering Celestia Avatar will do it. Weapon swap, if you have the sigil like Geomancy or something, will do it. Even your stun break will do it, and it gives you stability, so it's quite decent. Your entangle will cleave everything simply, even next to walls, behind walls, everything. Use 2 traps, so it's the same idea. And even from distance you can cleave groups, like if you find a collection of mobs, you can simply cast this from far and everything is bleeded and immobilized. So it's superior in how it keep dishing out damage, and even since the avatar itself have so many cleave inside it, and can even help people a little bit more with healing and stuff. The downside to Druid, it doesn't have as much cleanse in general, like on the go immediately, and it doesn't have the resistance, the 16-second resistance from the elite skill. Besides, it doesn't feel like the same simplicity when you simply having a staff only, keep attacking everything, and permanent quickness, because there is no quickness in this build. So it's a bit slower in a way to move, but with the Q system, it doesn't really give you this difference. The 2 builds will work almost the same. So this version is better in front of bosses. This is the key difference between them, so it will do some serious damage and cleave and crowd control, everything. It's really, really good. And it plays the same. You run around with Jacaranda in front of bosses, you can switch to the Chuck, it works completely similarly. But you don't even have to, like Jacaranda is the main thing when you run around, it can cleave on her own, you don't even need to move to Chuck. So the second bit can be anything, but you kinda need Jacaranda to run around. Now also, the traits themselves are exactly the same, the gear are exactly the same, everything is the same. We only go with Druid, and we go with Blood Moon, Nature Balance, and Eclipse. We use everything the same gear, the same runes, like the whole thing is just similar. Celestial, Traveler, and the Relic of Speed, everything. Now we also go with Soulbeast. Soulbeast is the same, everything is the same gear, the same rune of Traveler, it should work exactly the same. And the trait we go with is Live Fast, Essence of Speed, and Eternal Bond. It doesn't matter really what you're running exactly, but Eternal Bond is probably the idea, because we will always be inside a merge with our bit, so we don't want to use any other thing like copying the boon or whatever. So you will never disengage with the bit, you would switch between them for cleave in front of doors, but other than that, you're simply stuck with whatever bit you are using, and you use short bow and staff. Like Druid, you will always be on staff until you get in front of a door, you will switch to short bow. And you can have multiple cleave ways, like even this field, you can move with it and do damage. Everything you can simply move with this, it's a movement skill in case you need it to cut some distance, and also hit multiple targets, but those are the main two. And you can switch to the other one and use an unblockable field of poison, completely cleave with Primal Cry, like as you can see, many things that hit collectively in front of doors. The same idea of traps, even ignoring the immobilize this time with Dual Extent, so something work like the elite of the Untamed. And I'm the wrong healing skill here, actually use Bear Stance, so Bear Stance will keep removing the conditions once they land, so it will also be another way to work around the immobilize. And you can use Entangle, you can use something like Strength of the Back, anything, but Entangle is even better cleave. And it works the same method. Which one I would choose from this? I would actually go with the Untamed as just easy, simple, and move fast with the quickness and everything, or go with the Druid as more balanced option with some serious damage against bosses. Or you can simply against bosses just move to a normal PvE build immediately if you're outside of combat, and after that you again go with the Untamed build immediately. So that's it for the build, and as I told you, if you follow this, if you do it exactly, if you hit every mob and you are in the front of the squad, you will be able, probably in a really organized squad, to go almost 1,000 bag an hour. I was, like I said, I was very close to 800, like literally needed only like 30 7 bags, and it become an 800 an hour. And I went as low also while testing a few stuff into like 600 plus an hour. So you will never go lower than 600 if you play it well, but you can go so high between 800 and even 1000 if you play it well. So that's it for the video. Ask me anything if you want in the comments, and I'll be seeing you next time. Peace.